Welcome viewers, this is Richard Wyatt with TransformYourGame.net. Pax South 2020, sitting across from Ansel Cox, who is our third place finisher here in the Sunday tournament. Ansel, you want to give yourself a little intro?
Hi, yeah, my name is Ansel Cox. Currently out of Corpus, but I represent the San Antonio crew of all the major cities out of Texas. Chose to run Octone today. It's a little bit of a was trying to do a little bit more of a sleeper hit with them. Not a lot of people really kind of knew how to use them. I'm sure we'll kind of go more into this, but I'm on a very high version of them, and it was a good experience to use them, getting as far as I did, and I'm sure in the rest of the interview we'll get into some more stuff on there. But for right now, I don't want to steal your thunder for what you want to do, so by all means, ask away.
Well, for those of you who weren't in attendance, the way that you qualified for the Sunday tournament was going 4-0 in one of the qualifier teams. Ansel defeating me in one of those ones. That one you went 4-0 in.
Yep.
What deck did you qualify for Sunday using?
Okay, so deck-wise, team remained unchanged. Main board deck remained unchanged. Sideboard, I had already read the article as far as from I believe it's Blaine, as far as for like the Daring Escape and then the counter to it. I read that a little bit before, but there was also a video a month or so ago that it just from Wreck and Rule guys that had him that used him, but it was a main board. While it's very sick to use Thrust as a main board, I didn't really like that idea until I read the article. I was like, okay, siding into that to try to crush the Daring Escape, which is what my deck does not do well against whatsoever. It kind of stands toe-to-toe to some of the other ones, but Daring Escape, I just can't kill Springer fast enough. So siding in Thrust, Octone is natural against either Autobot or Decepticons. He's already an 8. If he flips it, if it's a Decepticon, he does the 1 damage to help. And so then the sideboard's really more just for trying to get a weapon on Thrust, and then when I hit, and it was only really for the big teams. I go orange, you don't put him in 2 wide, does not win against 4 wide orange, and pretty much I only sided him when I went against Jetfire and Prime.
Okay, well, so you ended up playing the same character lineup today that you did for the qualifier.
Right, no changes.
Okay. As far as the battle deck goes, were there certain considerations you made for like a smaller metagame? There are only a couple players qualified for today. What major changes, or if any changes, did you make in consideration of that fact?
Okay, so like I said, main board, I kind of felt, so it's just kind of back of the way the deck's built. It's mostly blue. It's tried an orange version, didn't work out very well. And it plays most of the range package. So the marksmanships, the javelins. I originally sideboarded Armed Hovercraft in versions 2 through 10 of the Octone decks that I tried. Armed Hovercraft was main boarded, but unless you're going against a wide team or you just really want to get that extra oomph, and Octone can already get that one on his own, there's really no. I needed extra blue. What I was finding is that against the heavier blue decks, even though my Pierce would get through, defense-wise, he went down and sometimes 2 hits, minimum a lot of other times 3, and it was just before I could get him set up, before I can get my team set up. So I opted to take out the Armed Hovercraft for handheld blasters, but just 2 of them, and then the rest of the board was 5 white. I was using Fog of War as opposed to work overtime. My thought was the main ones that really hurt my team, Prime, not so much the card game, Jetfire just to try to take those cards out, because War of Attrition mid to late game, when I think I've got it won, and then he War of Attrition's and heals 3, and then I got choose 3. I pretty much almost lose the game there. And then with Shockwave, him stripping your hand, at least that way you're able to get 2, and then if he already has like 5 or 6 cards, well, now he's got to pick his favorite 2, so now he's on your level. And you use that as opposed to System Reboot, because with System Reboot, now you're giving them 4 new cards that could help them win.
That's a good point.
So I tried all 3. I was going in before yesterday using Fog of War, and then some guys that I'm part of, which quick shout out to Enrico, Brian, and Ben. Ben, our European champion. They all kind of realized, like, hey, why don't you try We'll Go Overtime over Fog of War? Because while Fog of War is nice, it's kind of too unpredictable, and there are a lot of times where, like, maybe you have a huge hand size, you want to get rid of them. Very rarely did I pitch my work overtime. Just if I already had a bunch of cards, or if I had pocket processor, then I'd pitch it, and it's another card you can pitch for your green.
Okay, so let's say Sunday wasn't quite as small a tournament as it ended up being. If it were a larger metagame,
Yep.
would you still play the deck that you played today?
So, deck-wise, yes. Because originally I had, before today, Arm Hovercraft wasn't my sideboard. So if I knew there were going to be some wider teams, then that's kind of an easy switch to put the Arm Hovercrafts in for 2 other cards. I had both a Sabotage and a Hidden. I played 2 and 2 of those. If I know I need a little bit more tough, it's an easy one to put 1 or 2 of the, or if I know I'm playing against to play a bunch of weapons with that. In my experience with all the different builds I've had with Octone, for the most part, and it's not everything, but for the most part, orange doesn't work against it, because I have a couple different ways of either stopping their orange just from the tough, or I just get more points of damage, because even though they might swing for like 16, well, if I block 8 of it consistently, none of my guys are getting 1 shot, and then meanwhile, practically all of my hits are going to go through because they have 1, maybe 2 defense, and then I have my Pierce as well, and then I'm able to hide the guys I want. Like I can funnel my guys in, funnel the team into where I want them to put the damage. So heavy orange, unless it was just now one thing that's not really tested with, I haven't really played this too much against cars, and their untapped tricks. They don't get their untapped tricks, it's just a normal 3 wide to pretty much have them. If they get their untaps, then it's just what if I can pupper the damage. As far as blue, with the blue walls, the main 4 actually are General Prime, Galaxy Prime.
Sure.
Let me just clarify. Captain Jetfire, Shockwave, which with the, I'm sure we'll get into the thrust. Now he's not really that much of a threat, but then also the mirror match. It's pretty much with the mirror match with Octone, because you're both kind of playing the same way, trying to do the same thing. It typically goes down to who goes first, because whoever goes first sets the pace. And even though their Octone will go last, Octone's ability doesn't work on Octone. So the most you're going to do is a 5 or 6, Octone will block it. And more often than not, it becomes Octone, who can get the marksmanship first, because then you're worried about, well, do I stay in trucker plane mode or do I go bot mode to get that extra 1? But then also when you do go Octone, now you're losing all, with the exception of dual wield, you don't have the offensive. A lot of the tricks you would normally use on other characters just don't work. You're not a Decepticon or an Autobot, so none of those cards work. And you're against each other, so bigger they are, those kind of cards, it's like you're slugging out and you're hoping that you can out-pierce or out-hit them.
Great. Okay, so I know we've gotten a lot into the deck, but what style of player would you say that you yourself are? Like, if you had to classify yourself.
So I originally started aggro. When I first got into the game, I was with everything. I'm not normally a defensive person, but I think that's kind of in normal trading card games. It's like you start aggressive, and then you kind of work your way to either defensive-minded or control or anything like that. I would classify the way I play Octone as kind of an aggro, not really control, because it's more I can kind of control the flow of where it goes, but not as far as hand disruption, because I don't really play anything that really does a lot of that outside of security checkpoint. I do a couple things to try to take stuff off the board for them, but it's not a lot. It's like that's not the core part of my strategy. But with the cards that are in my deck, most of them are like attack oriented. So I'm playing the +3 Pierces. I'm playing a lot of augmented. The deck that I ran this weekend, I had 2 armors. That's it. A lot of teams in the blue, and when I look at the deck list, I see like 5 or 6 armors because they care about getting their armors, whether they're green or not. I had the 2, but I'm also running the hiddens, and I'm trusting that I have enough blue in my deck that at least consistently I'm tanking as much damage as I can to set my guys up for. So that's kind of the way I would say style-wise. Which advantage of that, you can kind of out-pierce a heavy blue build, because most heavy blues are not a lot of pierce unless they're pierce cards, not necessarily black pips. And even then, they're probably more wanting to be defensive, to set the character up, and then they go in for big hits. Me, I want to hopefully get some kind of damage in every single hit, which is why I'm a big fan of the black pits, but not so much where I'm going to have it half my deck. I'm not that crazy.
Okay, so let's say that somebody watching this is seeking a deck out to play in their own competitive settings. Would you recommend it for them?
A deck out?
Their deck.
Okay.
They're seeking out a deck.
Okay. So I would, with Octone takes time. And I say that because yeah, he's a big character, so he's gonna survive for the most part. But because he is a triple changer, and this is where some of the kind of like upper level play comes into play, is knowing when to transform with him. And I say that is so when I very first started using him, I was all about getting the bounty for his 2, which is nice. It's a free plasma burst, but also playing contingency contract as opposed to steady shot. The problem I found with that is and with the reason to play contingency contract is that whether you get the bounty or not, you get his bounty ability, in theory, so long as you do at least the 4 damage with it. The problem I had with that, and I used this at EI, the Invitational, the problem that I found with that was putting those extra pure black pips in the deck when I was already running the 3 dual welds. Now I'm running 2 or 3 of those. Now that's 5 blank pips in the deck that basically do nothing except on offense. And my deck suffered because I still wasn't running any handheld blasters. I think my blue count was maybe about 30 pips total, if that, out of about a 42 card deck. You're not going to survive the blue on blue war with that unless you're absolutely lucky with your flips. So, but again, it's trial and error with him. He's not a leader, and since he's not an Autobot or Decepticon, on the Autobot side, you can't use Matrix. On the Decepticon side, you can't use Callus. So you're not easily able to take damage off, and then you can't help your buddies out as far as the +1 and also +1 to hit. So he's very trial and error with it to use it. But once you get him going, once you figure him out and how you want to play with him, then it's who do you pair him up with, and then that really just depends on your play style. Because with him being 13, most likely you're probably going to start 3 wide, and there's just so many different combinations of 2 other bots between the Autobots and Decepticons, or if you're really crazy, a second mercenary, but I would not recommend that. That's a whole other story. But there are a lot of different options with that. It's just kind of, you just have to play around, see what works best for you, and then you just a lot of just playing and changing and adjustments. Okay,
if you had to pick one battle card as your standout for the weekend from your deck, which one do you think it would be?
I would actually so I'll start off first with, all right, so my original lineup, and it's going to lead into it. So my lineup was Octone, Autobot Hot Rod, and then I used Ravage. Ravage, and this is like version 12 of my Octone.
The cassette.
Yes, cassette version that came out of the Soundwave Earth Blaster.
Okay.
So, and what came onto him was, he had 5 stars left. Originally it was Flame War. While the tough one to everyone is nice, she's in bot mode, so she's susceptible to a lot of different cards that just kill her. Non-advanced players will try to go after her, and she dies pretty quickly if you're not careful. And she's a specialist, doesn't really help your team at all. I don't play any specialist cards whatsoever. But using Ravage, he's in stealth, and he's a Decepticon. So the card of the weekend for it, and this won me many a game because he's stealth, Opportune Offensive. Love this card. Having a Decepticon with that, the fact that you can attack with Ravage while stealth, 3 pierce 3, and now I'm still funneling in the attacks into my Hot Rod, who's got the tough 1. That was very crucial to helping me advance the game's board state in my favor, and then only using Ravage in bot mode when I needed to, basically when I needed to win the game. It's pretty much never a dead card because pretty much on all of my games, if I got down to 1, win or lose, Ravage was the last one. Like, I just made it, it's just because they knew to go after Octone. Either Hot Rod or Octone went first or second, and then Ravage was always the last one. So pretty much this was never a dead card in my hand, and I always made sure to use it. I got lucky today and I never lost it, and thank God it's an action, so security checkpoints never did.
Great. All right, well, I know you mentioned some guys earlier, but is there anybody else you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, so definitely shout out to my San Antonio crew. Not all of them are here. Nick, for sure, for just helping get our group together. Now he's one of the admins for our Alamo City. Quick shout out for look up Alamo City on Facebook, Alamo City Transformers. My regular playmates, and if I forget you, I apologize because some of you guys come in and out. Caleb, he's one of the up-and-comer guys. He's also the youngest one of our crew, so he's definitely still got a lot to learn. Ed and Jay, sorry you guys couldn't make it. You guys missed a lot. I wish you guys were here. Buddy Lewis was able to make it here today. Derek, I know you would have loved to have doing this, but I know you got some other personal stuff going on, but you've been a great teammate as well. Buddy Cole, he was here. I know I am missing a bunch of other people here. We just have so many coming in and out. And I'm sure they'll come back to it, to the guys on the other cities, to all the Dallas guys, to my Austin guys, all of you guys for that. And I'd already mentioned them before. So, my online team, Enrico, Ben, and Brian, who definitely helped as far as since I live in Corpus, I can't always play regularly. That's helped to keep my skills fresh. And then a last shout out, because I'm going to show her this video, my girlfriend Rebecca, for no shit, just putting up with all this. So.
Well, thanks so much for sitting down with us, and congrats on the finish.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks.